welcome to Triple T Thursday. Today I want to talk about the concept of time, not in a space continuum type of way, but in a how we usually greatly underestimate what we can get done in a long period of time and what we should be able to get done, and we overestimate in that short period of time. So I want to talk about time a little bit today since the days are short and the time is short, and so we might as well chat about this. So I am a couple weeks out from my back surgery that I had, which was 2 weeks ago on Tuesday. Now, why am I telling you that? Well, I overshare anyway, because that's just who I am. But the reason I am telling you this is because what happened at my follow-up checkup with my doctor, which, by the way, shout out to Evergreen and Dr. Dial, fantastic doctor, one of those that doesn't make you feel like you're just rushing through to get through to the next patient. Like, he kind of stares at you like, you have anything else? And I'm like, no, awkward silence. And then he's like, okay, bye. So I was telling him I was feeling frustrated that I'm not where I feel I should be further along in recovery, right? And that is like, obviously I can't be back dancing and such, but I just feel like, I should probably be further along, right? And so I was like, well, I can roll over in bed now without like wanting to die. So that's something, because for the first week it was like so unbearable that I couldn't do that. And so he was like, okay, let's just rewind for a second here, crazy lady. He didn't say that because that's not a medical term that we're supposed to be using. So he was kind of like, the last time I saw you before you were face down on the operating table, you were walking with a cane, hobbling around in 10 out of 10 pain. So perhaps the fact that you walked in here unassisted today without a cane and you're seemingly able to sit still, which you couldn't before, is a sign that all things are going remarkably well. And I was like, okay, when you put it like that, yeah, maybe that is the case, that my recovery is going not only as it should, but probably faster on track than medically you would think might even happen. So, and this is one of those perhaps moments of time where you're like, okay, if I step back and rewind for just a second, yeah, I am a lot farther than where I was. So that's one thing right there. Also, another thing, because this is my live stream and I can be as selfish as I want to be, so we're going to continue to talk about myself here for just a little bit longer, is the fact that last Friday, and yes, I've still been doing some calls and stuff on while I'm in recovery, and some people were like, please don't make me be the person who makes you get onto conference call. Like, just take the day. And I'm like, it's fine. And I'm like sitting there with like the laptop or so perched on my belly as I'm laying flat on a couch. Maybe it wasn't a call I needed to be on, but I digress. I'm on this call, and it was last Friday, and it was the end of the 12 weeks of YouTube coaching with someone, and plus a couple weeks actually. So it would have been 14 weeks. So if you rewind back in time, 14 weeks then. And at the beginning of the 14 weeks, I was even still nervous to be like, am I going to have enough to talk about, as I was when I went down to Texas for a week before, last year, and was doing YouTube strategy on site for someone in Texas. And I'm like, I don't even think I have things to talk about. And I survived the first day. Oh, thank goodness. But then it was at the end of the week, and I'm like, but we still have so much to cover. So it's one of those where greatly underestimated the amount of things apparently that I can talk about and blab about when it comes to YouTube. And so I was like, wow, it has been 14 or / 12 weeks. And one, if you even think how far you come when you're going through any of these, let's say, coaching programs or, other transformational programs, or even a quarter or, semester in college, and how your life can change invariably during that time. It's kind of amazing because, and then at the end of it, I was like, wow, like my child is going off to college, like so proud of them, right? And launching a YouTube channel, and it's all happening. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to be sad that I don't have a Friday morning call with this person anymore. And I don't get to like continually check up with them and be like, what did you do? And feel superior about, I gave you homework. What do you mean you didn't do it? But, it was really sweet because I actually got a message then being like, hey, I don't think, or I tell you, I can't quit the Fitch, which is like, I keep buying clothes at Abercrombie and Fitch, even though like I'm a grown ass woman. I don't know. Okay. So I was thinking about this and I was like, wow. So we're going to maybe work out something where we continue to do like check-ins or something because we just don't want the time to be over yet. It's just one of those things. I was like, no, we're going to keep doing this thing. So, and then tomorrow is the last of like a 10-week type of thing where I've been doing YouTube strategy sessions with a different client. And I was thinking about this plus or minus 2 weeks or 3 weeks, sometimes, because they actually started about the same time, and it was just one was on vacation and then something, happened and rearranging. So even though they started about the same time, they actually are ending just 1 week apart too. And so, hey, Savage Scientist, great to see you. Nice to see you. So we're just talking about the concept of time today. And so I wanted to have this chat because tomorrow will mark week 10 of the strategy sessions that I've been doing with this other YouTube client. And it's like, wow, at the beginning when I was like, hey, yeah, if you want to do like 10 sessions or something, let's do a bundle price and it'll be cheaper and let's just, have a go at it. And he was like, yeah, let's do that. And I was just like, huh. And now here we are a few months later and it's time for that to be over. And it's just like, oh man, where does the time go? And when people say that, it's like, it literally is a question. Where does the time go? And so when I have these weekly check-ins and then I come back and I'm like, what did you do? And these are the things that were assigned and how did we do on those goals? And it's always interesting to see either, did we do the things we said we were going to do? Did we not? What excuses do we make for saying that we didn't have time or we ran into some other obstacle about why we didn't accomplish what we had said we would accomplish? And what's also interesting is then at the beginning of the coaching program, I asked the 90-day one, the person to write themselves a letter. Like in 90 days from now, you write yourself as if you had accomplished all the things that you had wanted to, and then you look back on it and you reflect. And it's interesting because as we were even going through the process, there are these trials and tribulations that one learns as you're starting a YouTube channel and trouble with editing or trouble with something in a YouTube setting or trouble with whatever. And then first being like, I can't do this thing unless you're here with me, showing me how to do it. And then it's, well, I did it, but it took like 7 hours. And then it's, well, I did it and it was annoying, but it took 3 hours. And then it's not even something that you measure in time anymore because it just becomes part of your routine. And it's weird if you have 90 days to build a habit or however long it takes. One, it's interesting to get to hear all of the different things that people have to say about why they can and cannot do things, what they think and they can and cannot accomplish. And it's just a fun, fascinating world, honestly. And it's everything from the beginner to the more established. And then actually today I had a call with a client who said, we're gonna try something new. And so you all know I have a company called Content Minis. We create short form content out of your existing long form videos or your video live streams. And so I'm blessed to have some great employees now. We've got some fantastic clients, and one of the clients was like, okay, I think what we're going to do now is I need help with scheduling. And before I was like, no, we don't do that. And now we're like, could we do that? And it's funny because at the beginning of this Content Minis journey, I was like, nope, that's not something I'm ever touching. And then here I am, 6 months later, changing my tune, being like, okay, I guess I could do this. And on the call with him, I said, what's really weird is I find that there is a hole in the market for this, or a pain point. And I could see a point in time again, being the operative word, where I could just offer scheduling services for very busy people who have YouTube channels and want to be on all these different platforms, where they either have us do the Content Minis or they create it themselves and get it from wherever. And then we just schedule it all out. And all of the things that you think are going to be obstacles, from how do we get you permissions? How do we figure out how to do this? And you just kind of start knocking them off one by one until you then have the experience to say like, oh, when I tried to do this, it worked, or it didn't work, or here's something else to try. And that's where we were. So we sat on the phone or like a video chat and be like, I don't know, how do we do this? I don't know, let's try this. Okay, did that work? No, let's try something else. And it was a very good and useful time spent trying to figure out these things so that the next time I have a client who wants to do these same things, then we end up being able to do it bigger, better, faster, smarter, harder, all the things, right? And it's kind of crazy when you change your tune from 6 months ago where you're like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. And apparently the 10-foot pole is just a 6-month like delay on the head start that was Content Minis. And then I was like, oh my gosh, could I actually get to a point where I could see that taking over and having more people want that than want the Content Minis? Yeah, absolutely. So I'm like, don't put the cart in front of the horse, but could that actually be then the bigger money maker than Content Minis? I don't know. Time will tell. And that's the funny thing about time, is it ends up revealing so many things. And so back to me and my injuries, right? So the thing with being 2 weeks out from surgery and me being so upset about how far I am not, and then this doctor kind of smacked me in the face with the reality of like, you couldn't even like, you were crawling from room to room in your house, so maybe slow your roll as you walked in here, you know? And I'm like, that's an excellent point, doctor. You are smart. You're obviously very smart. And so he told me that at week 6, even though it feels like a long time from where you are or where you've been, that's when you get the green light to be able to do the things that you want to do just carefully. And then he was like, but now you're looking well enough to maybe start physical therapy 1 or 2 times a week. And so that was nice. So I've got one scheduled for next week. And so it's interesting that we go through this, and then I'm like, oh, okay, so I'll be doing physical therapy. And then it became, oh, at the 5.5 week mark or whatever, I'm going to Texas. I'm going on a plane. And it was like, well, you're seemingly well enough, you know, to be able to do these things, but you need to do it with some holdback, you know, like maybe don't take a 50-pound suitcase, maybe take a 25-pound suitcase and ask someone to take it off the you know, the carousel thing for you. And if you have a backpack, maybe you could ask someone to put it in overhead. And I'm like, I'm an independent person, but no, I will ask someone to help me put it in the overhead. But he's like, no, I don't see why you can't, you know, do life. And it's so close to the 6-week mark that like, yeah, go ahead. And so it felt nice to have that like green light. But then it also reminded me, I'm like, oh, geez, it's 3 weeks, let's say now, from Vid Summit or my first time traveling or going, you know, on any kind of lengthy trip since surgery or doing any of these things. And then I'm like, is it too soon? Is it too late? One never knows. But the thing is, the time passes anyway. So it's how we choose to deal with all of this. And where I'm also going with this last thing about the doctor, he was like, oh, around month 9 or so, there will be times occasionally that you forget that you've had surgery. And I'm like, sure. And he's like, it'll come, it'll happen, especially when I'm sitting here being like, okay, but right now, if I sit down, you know, longer than 20 minutes in a chair, my leg still goes numb. Or like, I have to be careful if I'm going to the bathroom because my leg will fall asleep. Or I have to be careful that I can't actually lay on my side without my leg having like a weird freak out. Or if I actually just look down and put my neck in a position where I look down at my toes. You can do that now. I can't really do that without a big jolt going down my leg. But he's like, give it 6 weeks. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll see. And that's the whole point. And how I'm coming to this Triple T Thursday where I want to talk with you all is one of the things that we do is we have a really hard time, ironically, pun intended, processing time when it comes to YouTube and our journeys. Okay. So I see a lot of people then disheartened, and it's usually about time. And I've been on YouTube for 4 years and I haven't achieved X, right? I've been on YouTube for 7 years and I don't have as much as person Y. You know, I put out a video yesterday and it hasn't done this. And it's, you know, those types of things where it's about in the long marathon of time in our careers as, you know, let's say YouTube creators, I think we're really disillusioned about how long some things take, how long some things should take, could take. And there is no like should, because if there was a secret formula that only like every single person, then every single person would be on the continual time spectrum with stops and milestones and coinciding. And that's not true for most of us because we have different times that it takes each of us to get to said mile marker and milestone and thing that we have for ourselves. And as we look back, when we think we're so unaccomplished a lot of the time, we forget that the journey has brought us indelibly very far. So the fact that, you know, my YouTube coaching client was like, oh, it took me 7 hours to edit a video. And I'm like, okay, I get that. But do you remember before you couldn't even like figure out how to split a clip in half? And we spent an entire hour, you know, trying to figure out how to like put things on the playhead and how to like actually do some of these things. And you quit over the weekend because it took you too many days to edit and you were like in frustration. And so I was like, so the fact that you then have taken that amount of time and halved it or, you know, cut it in a third, that's a big deal. And you have to give yourself credit for that, because have you ever edited before? No. Have you ever tried to do this before? No. So these are all skills that are new to you. So why would you think that it should take no amount of time at all? And so that's what I keep coming back to, is when we, myself included, don't give ourselves credit for how far we progress or the journey that we make or how far the distance from the starting line, and we're impatient about what we think or where we think we should be on that next piece of that journey. And so, I mean, if you have some of those thoughts and intentions in your mind as well, I just want you to remember that, like, not only are we all accomplishing hard things, but for many of us, being creators is not like, it's not the thing that like is the only thing in our lives. Everyone is usually / something else, right? You know, maybe you have a significant other, and maybe you're a pet owner, and maybe you have a job. Most people do, you know, maybe you've got medical issues you're dealing with, maybe you've got kids, and all of these things combine to take away the hours that you think it would take and skills to master whatever it is you think that you should be achieving. And when we think about what some of the creators who you're comparing yourself against, how long it took them to get to that point, and I understand that there are exceptions, but most people are the rule. And I'm sorry to break it to you that when you think that you're the exception, you're probably the rule. Most people know that they're the exception because they're like, this is freaking weird. All this stuff is happening to me. I never not just expected this, but I, like, who knew? Unless you're just a manifesting mofo who just doesn't not believe those things aren't in your periphery. But for the rest of us, for the rules, for the rest of us rules people, it will, I think it's Hofstadter's law, where it says it will always take longer than you think it will, even when you stop to consider that it will take longer than you think it will. It's basically, I'm paraphrasing, but it's something like that. It will always take longer than you think, even when you stop to think it's going to take longer than and you make amends and like preparations for that, it still takes longer. So, okay, I'm going to come see what you guys are saying. So if you're here, pop off and say hi in the comments. So that would be nice. Discord Coach Keeley, it's great to see you. I know we have our weekly check-in. I think next week, is it? I'm just going to look on the calendar on that, but I believe it's next week. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you've been up to. It says the concept of tracking of the time has been spent. Seems like a great idea, but I'm just really terrible at it because I'm busy doing and not tracking. Yeah, totally. One of the things that definitely comes out there is like a time diary, and a lot of people will recommend doing this, especially when you start getting to the point where you're ready to start outsourcing or bringing in help. Some people will have a time tracker where they just kind of a time diary of the things that they're doing in any given day in a Monday through Friday type of scenario. Because I think the idea for some people is to take the things that either take up a lot of time that don't really need to have you to do them, or take up a lot of time that you just hate doing and really bring you dissatisfaction to having to do. And those become then in this nice little quadrant of things that you delegate out, hire out, get off your plate. Because most of us, let's say if we're creators, we're not thinking about how to then monetize, and then the merch, and then how to work with the next brand deal. And a lot of people were just wanting to make videos, and then they were almost surprised that other people wanted to watch those videos. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, I guess we should make better videos. But then they got bogged down with well, if I wasn't spending 8 hours on editing, I could be making more videos, you know? And a lot of us slug through that grind because we don't have the time or the money or the resources to outsource that stuff. So we do it until we do, and then we get that stuff off our plate, which is why so many people are always wanting to outsource the things that they're not good at or the things that take them a lot of time, right? So if you're someone who wants to just do nothing but film and live your life, but you don't want to have to put all the reels together and slice them up and schedule them and do all of that, that's what you hire out, you know? and it's interesting because I feel like once people who stop feeling held back by the stuff that has been taking up their time or resources or energy, they get to dive and put that back into and reclaim that section of their time in life and happiness to go do more of what makes them happy, or just to finally feel a little bit of relief from overloading themselves so much, which is what happens to most of us, where we overload ourselves and then we have burnout, and then we just take breaks for months at a time, let's say from creating, because we just can't bear the thought of going in, and a short break becomes a long break. So there's that. So Discord Coach says, we have a lot to catch up on. That's right. You went to the UK for 2 weeks. You stepped in a wormhole. Oh my gosh. I don't even know how to take that. I know that Casey Neistat had a YouTube short, I think, that he put out where he like did a little Thor move with his probably flip-flop. Who knows at this? I don't know. He like put his foot down on a sidewalk in New York, and then there was like a big basically sinkhole and you could see it. And of course, being Casey Neistat, what's he do? He's like, I need to stick a camera down there to see what's in there. And I think I even saw it on Philip DeFranco today. But it's just interesting. I don't know the difference between a wormhole and a sinkhole, to tell you the truth. So I'm gonna have to talk to you, yes, about that. So that's interesting. That's interesting. So I was just talking about how, like I said, 6 months ago, I said I would never touch scheduling. And now I'm actually almost oddly curious / excited and just like interested to see how that works out. One never knows. So that's going to be an experiment that's going to be running for the next couple of months. And that's the thing, is the time is going to pass. You know what I mean? The time is going to pass anyway. And so it's, what do we decide to do between now and the time that we're given, or, you know, all the time that we have on this earth. Hey, Trenton's Tech. Great to see you. You with your Samsung Galaxy Ultra 22 or 23 in your profile photo. Is that the Marquez Brownlee sweatshirt? And it looks like the top half of it, as with the chevrons. I digress. Are you going to be ordering an iPhone tomorrow morning? I already saw that Vipe had his live stream preparation thing on it. So everyone who was listening, at the very end of last week's live stream, I was talking about, I am very excited about the iPhone 15 that was announced on Monday, was it? Tuesday. It was Tuesday morning. And I'm not a big Ultra watch person or anything like that. I mean, although, did everyone get in their feels about all the people that they've saved in the very beginning and who got to celebrate an extra birthday because the Ultra watch helped them out? So cool. You know, I really want to get the shirt that says the 30 FPS because I am a 30 FPS gal. And so that shirt speaks to my heart. So anyways, I was talking at the end of last week's stream about, 1, how I was really excited about the Apple event, 2, how I was really excited about the iPhone 15 because I skipped the iPhone 14, which was a heartbreaker for me because I am in love with purple. But I am so glad that I waited. The iPhone 15 is going to be the Pro Max, all that stuff, which, why can't they have titanium, better, cooler colors? Why can't they have a hot pink? You know, I know Justine would be with me. Hot pink for the win. Not just pale pastel. I want fuchsia, magenta, hot pink. I want hot pink. It's the year of Barbie. How could you not give us that? Anyways, I digress. So I am actually mad. They finally decided to do more than the 3 optical zoom. They're going to do the 5, but only on the Pro Max. And I was like, Apple, did we not talk about this? That if you have the Pro model. The only difference between the Pro and the Pro Max should be the size of screen and therefore the battery. But no, they finally did that thing again where they separated it after a couple years of giving you all the same features in the Pro Max. They finally went back to something else. And so now if I wanted the 5X zoom, I have to have a Pro Max, which I don't want. So it's going to be the Pro, but I think it's going to be the blue. I'm so excited. Anyways, none of you asked for that, but I am really excited. And I'm also very excited because today is puppy haircut day. And why am I talking about that on a live stream? Well, first of all, any excuse to bring up my dogs. But the fact is, we had been waiting months because they have been booked for months. And in fact, it went so long that because they require these vaccination updates for this one specific shot every 6 months, they wouldn't let us schedule because the vaccination was going to be due before the haircut could be. So we had to go back and get more puppy vaccinations, which this time Casey had an allergic reaction. Her eye swelled up super big. We had to go to an emergency vet, even though she was supposed to get like 3 vaccines. We're like, she can't do that. She can only do like 2 at a time. It was way too swollen. But anyways, the whole point is it's been months and months and months. And today they're at the groomers and they're going to be brought home any minute now. And they're going to be the cutest floofs I've ever seen in my entire life. So I'm sorry, not sorry that you'll see a picture of them at some point somewhere. I don't know where, but there will be many, many pictures. I have an entire album just called Fuzzy Faces that Google recognizes these 2 dogs because I've put their names in as family members. And anytime I want to feel happy, I just go to that folder and I see them. So I will be ordering the iPhone 15 Pro in the blue titanium. Thank you so much for asking. Said no one. But I'm sharing that with you now. Okay, thank you so much. Discord coach, now I'm at the titanium white. Yeah, okay, and another thing, can I just say, I believe that John Prosser might owe someone his left or right testicle. It was one of the 2, because he was saying, and this was, 3-4 years back, that the iPhone would never ship with USB-C. Thank you, EU. Thank you, EU, because courage to take away the headphone jack, courage to finally comply with USB-C. And I'm not even mad about USB-C 2.0 speeds I am mad about the colors, so they get better colors. And honestly, can I just say for a moment, even though no one cares about my tech opinions, the iPhones, standard iPhones, regular iPhones, they look fantastic, and the price is amazing. Honestly, $799 for a starting price on that, with way better cameras, with the dynamic island, with all of the cool stuff, and USB-C, amazing. Also, the Pro Max recording video to an external SSD. Who saw that on their bingo card? Like, no one. I did not see that particular thing coming. Will I use it? No. Is it cool? Yeah, I think it is. And could they not, for just once, give Marquez Brownlee the all matte black everything? Because I would buy that. It would be sick. It'd be matte black with just the little glass part of the Apple logo. I could actually get down with that. And big props to friend of the channel, Technically T. Tomorrow he has his launch of his collaboration with Andar, and they are going to be releasing the Technically Red leather iPhone cases for Series 14 and 15 iPhones in a beautiful kind of cherry ruby red color. And it's interesting that it's also leather because Apple has taken leather cases out of their lineup. So big congratulations to him on the launch of that. I may have to take a peek at those. And of course, because he is so good with all of his tech accessories and recommendations. I have no doubt that the case itself will be a quality one and not a crappy one. So that should be interesting. I may have to take a peek at that and support him. And then what do we got over here? It says the iPhone will also be able to connect to an external monitor. I know, crazy, right? Crazy. Now, the last thing I want to do before we get out of here is there was a call for a couple of questions for last week, and we'll do this occasionally. And I'm just going to take a peek right here and we'll see. And I'm going to try and maybe do this, and we'll just bring it in at the end of the live stream each week, maybe some questions. And so the question was, should I abandon the YouTube shorts and post all of my shorts content on TikTok instead? And that's from Emilio Exploring. So Emilio, if I have any channel members, will you put the emoji for it depends, the emote? Honestly, it depends. You know, I saw Jevin Dovey put out oh shoot, it's getting late. Okay, I have someone coming to the house here in like 10 minutes, so I have to be quick. Dang. I wish I had more time, pun intended. So Jevin Dovey actually just went out and deleted all of the shorts on his channel. He did this thing about how he thought that shorts was destroying his channel. I know that Todd, I love when he like lurks about on Twitter and then just randomly comments on people's stuff. And it's always like, the truth has revealed. It's just amazing. I just love watching him just like pop up out of nowhere. And he said, well, one thing too, to keep a look at is like you actually didn't put out a lot of videos, long form videos like you normally do. And so I would also say like, one, are they not performing? Two, is it part of a different audience or different type of topic that you're bringing onto your channel that isn't jiving with your audience? How do you know they're reacting badly? Historically, how many of you put out over how much amount of time? I could probably look if I looked on the channel, but I just don't have it in front of me. And then also I would say like, why not both? Why not put it? You know me, say it and spray it. There is no shortage of places. In fact, when I was on the call this morning, I was like, where do you want to put stuff? And, you know, he mentioned a couple platforms. And I was like, I really think you could be on blank. And I think that honestly, why don't you put it on here and here and here? And if you're going to have us do the scheduling and it's no lift for you anyways, why not put it on and see where it pops off? Like, what's the harm in it for you? And he's like, I will consider that because it won't be me having to do it. So it's just, you know, and I was like, it's just something to consider. So one, I would say, I don't know if I would abandon it unless it has brought in so many viewers that are never watching the rest of your content. The topic is so weirdly off from whatever you're normally talking about, or you really think it's harming in some other way. So I'm going to say it depends, but I don't necessarily think that you have to abandon anything. I always think there's a lot of fun in shorts and just being able to share something quickly, respond to someone else. You know, there's tons of reasons to do it, but also tons of reasons you don't have to do it. For me, though, I'm biased. I like shorts a lot. In fact, I did say, if you start following my shorts channel, the vertical video tutorials, I'm going to start putting stuff on there, just like how-to stuff. How to do some of these transitions that you see, how to do some of these things and do it inside of CapCut or InShot or, you know, something on the app. And all of the videos are always vertical and like showing inside of the app. So I just thought it'd be kind of fun to do that kind of stuff, you know, more stuff with Instagram stories, even though, do I do Instagram stories? No, I do not. But just to have some fun and it's just a fun creative outlet. So I'm biased in the way that I like YouTube shorts, but I also understand that that is going to be for the channel that is vertical video tutorials. So I wouldn't necessarily put those videos elsewhere. What I could do is the tutorial on how to do the reel or effect or whatever I could put over there, and then the finished result, depending on what it is, I could put on my personal channel or I can put here, right? So that's how I would kind of like decide on where to do it, but I digress. That was the only question, really. Some other people just were responding to Emilio. So next week I'll put out the question again. If you have questions, we can chat about it. Tell me where to find the case. I will. It is, let me see if I can grab that. I know it's with Andar and Technically T. I saw him post about it on his Twitter. So let me, because I'm sure he... it's going to be available tomorrow, just like the iPhone launch. So Technically T. link tree technically. Oh, yeah, it's pinned on his Twitter. Not only will it be, okay, wait, it didn't say where to post it. Is it in his link tree? YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Okay, well, it'll be available tomorrow, so I'll have to put it, maybe I can tag you in Twitter. Here, let me tag you in the thread at Discord Coach. So here, I've tagged you in the thread on Twitter so you can at least see what it looks like. It's a nice cherry red. Pixelpia, I'm glad that you're here. I've been wanting to chat with you. I still owe you a channel like consultation. If you still want to do that, please contact me. I'm feeling a little bit better now. I've got some time on my hands, you know, since I'm home. So contact me. Let's get a time on the books and we can finally like do that if you still want to do that. So I got a jet, but I would encourage you to think about the things that you can do with the time that you're allotted. And again, keep in mind, we underestimate what we can do in a long period of time and probably overestimate what we can do in a short period of time. And that's okay, because things will take longer than we think, even when we stop to think about how long it will take, and we know that it will take longer. So I will see you all next week. Thank you for being here. Appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a great night. See y'all.